yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballava Giridharidhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana yamunatiravanachari yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraja Kacharya Astottara Satashishi Mad ISKCON Founder Acharya His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Syamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Mayapur Dham Ki Gaur Premanande all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Sarasvatam Vyasa Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Preshu Abhadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Punishment and Reward of Kali. Text 29, Purport, Sanskrit verse and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Tam jighāṁsum abhipretya vihāya nṛpa-lāñchanam tat-pāda-mūlam śirasā samagād bhaya-vihvalaḥ tad-jighāṁsum abhipretya vihāya nṛpa-lāñchanam tat-pāda-mūlam śirasā samagād bhaya-vihvalaḥ tam jighāṁsum abhipretya vihāya-mūlam śirasā tam jighāṁsum abhipretya vihāya nṛpa-lāñchanam tat-pāda-mūlam śirasā samagād bhaya-vihvalaḥ. Anyone else? Tam jighāṁsum abhipretya vihāya nṛpa-lāñchanam tat-pāda-mūlam śirasā samagād bhaya-vihvalaḥ tam jighāṁsum abhipretya vihāya nṛpa-lāñchanam tat-pāda-mūlam śirasā samagād bhaya-vihvalaḥ. Tam, him, jighāṁsum, willing to kill, abhipretya, knowing it well, vihāya, leaving aside, nṛpa-lāñchanam, the dress of a king, tat-pāda-mūlam, at his feet, śirasā, by the head, samagāt, fully surrendered, bhaya-vihvalaḥ, under pressure of fearfulness. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and under pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. Please repeat. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and under pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. The royal dress of the personality of Kali is artificial. The royal dress is suitable for a king or kṣatriya. But when a lower class man artificially dresses himself as a king, his real identity is disclosed by the challenge of a bona fide kṣatriya like Mahārāja Parīkṣit. A real kṣatriya never surrenders. He accepts the challenge of his rival kṣatriya and he fights either to die or to win. Surrender is unknown to a real kṣatriya. In the age of Kali, there are so many pretenders dressed and posed like administrators or executive heads, but their real identity is disclosed when they are challenged by a real kṣatriya. Therefore, when the artificially dressed personality of Kali saw that to fight Mahārāja Parīkṣit was beyond his ability, he bowed down his head like a subordinate and gave up his royal dress. Om Jnana Tisya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Inmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So in this chapter, we see that the personality of Kali has entered into our universe. Krishna has left the planet, and the day that Krishna leaves the planet, the personality of Kali appears, and he proceeds to beat the representative of Dharma, the bull, breaking his 3 legs: austerity, mercy, and cleanliness, which is the 3 out of 4 pillars of Dharma. The 4 pillars of Dharma are austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. There's supposedly a small fraction of truthfulness. The leg is barely standing, although very in a very vulnerable place. So Kali is continuing to beat these pillars of Dharma by promoting illicit sex, which destroys cleanliness, promoting gambling, which destroys truthfulness, promoting intoxication, which destroys austerity, and promoting animal slaughter, which destroys the sense of mercy or compassion. It's described in these pages of Bhagavatam that all living beings, Mamayvamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, all living beings are actually citizens of the state, not just human beings. That is called anthropocentric, simply self-centered around humans. But in the days of Mahārāja Parīkṣit and Mahārāja Yudhisthira, all the various creatures were all protected by the king. The king's duty is to eradicate all antisocial elements within his kingdom. Prabhupada gives the example that when a wild animal comes into the village, the authorities, they have to kill this wild animal. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali, human beings are non-different from wild animals. Sva vidvarahostra samstuta purusha pashu. Purusha pashu, they're 2-legged animals, parading like human beings, but not following the Vedic culture of Sanatan Dharma. So it's the duty of the king to kill, Prabhupada says, to kill these unsocial elements, antisocial elements in society. Unfortunately, in our society today, the leaders are dasyu. Dasyu means thieves. They claim to be leaders, but they actually have no knowledge whatsoever. It's stated that in the 10th chapter of this particular canto, it's stated karma vavraja parjanya sarvakama dugamahi, that during the reign of Mahārāja Yudhisthira, Sichitu Shva Vrajangava, that all beings were so happy, and due to the fact that Mahārāja Yudhisthira was performing the proper yagyas for the pleasure of the Lord, Yagya Vai Vishnu, the rains gave profuse amounts of water, and the land was well fertilized, and Mother Earth, Prithvi, she produced so many minerals and diamonds and gold and pearls. The ocean produced pearls. All the various mountains and oceans and lands were providing their due taxes to the king by the supplying of precious minerals and precious metals and necessary fertilizers. Shishichushma Vrajangava means that the happy cows, their milk bags were so full that they were fertilizing the pasturing grounds, and so much wonderful necessary grains and fruits and vegetables, all the necessities of human beings were supplied. Yagya shishta shino shanto muchanti salvakil vishai. That is described by Krishna in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that when the kings ensure that there's the performance of yagya by the Brahmins, and that the Brahmins are performing their duties properly, yajana, yajana, patana, patana, dhanam, pratigraha, the 6 practices of Brahmins, that then Mother Earth, Prithvi, she cooperates, and all the prajas, all the different elements of society and the universe, they cooperate with the leaders, the kings, like Mahārāja Prithu, Mahārāja Yudhisthira. These are saintly kings. Mahārāja Parīkṣit, even within the womb, because he was the son of Abhimanyu and the grandson of Mahārāja Yudhisthira, Arjuna, and he was in the Kaurava dynasty, that the Lord appeared within the womb to protect him from the Brahmastra of Aswatam. So the Lord always protects his saintly devotees. Kuntiya pratijanihi name bhakti pranashiti. The Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, you say it boldly. My devotees will always be protected. They'll never be vanquished. When Bhishma tried to kill Arjuna on the battlefield, he said, I will force Krishna. Either he's going to break his vows or I'm going to kill Arjuna today. And he saved his arrows for Arjuna. Krishna will break his vows. Although he's God himself, he's the Lord of all morality and ethics, he will break these mundane ethics and morality for the purpose of Dharma, for the higher purpose of protecting his devotees. So he jumped off the chariot and attacked Bhishma. And Bhishma was ready. Take me, Lord, kill me. So this is the history of Mahabharata, great Bharat, when the kingdom of the entire world was in Hastinapur, New Delhi, current day New Delhi. And the kings were great kings. They were Maharatis. They had the power of 10,000 elephants. They could take on thousands of warriors simultaneously. They were very great and powerful kings. And so they would never allow any demoniac influences within their kingdom. That was even during the end of Dwapara Yuga. We see that Mahārāja Yudhisthira, he ruled the kingdom so wonderfully that all the citizens were very happy. Unfortunately, Kali Yuga's influence is increasing more and more every day. And we'll find that this person in the garb, in the artificially dressed as a king, simply a hypocrite, that he bows down to Mahārāja Parīkṣit, and the code of the kṣatriya is one whoever takes shelter of him, the king has to protect. So the king, Mahārāja Parīkṣit, will protect even this rascal of the personality of Kali. So nowadays, Prabhupada is saying here that the administrators who are dressed and who are pretenders, posing themselves as administrators. The kṣatriya, he leads. If there's a war, the kṣatriya will lead the charge. He will face the enemy. Surya teja dritri daksham yudyecha chapalayanam. In the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the qualities are briefly described. Yudyecha papalalayam. Chapala means one who is unequivocal, one who will falter in the face of unwanted situations. But the kṣatriya will stand there and face the enemy. Surya teja, Surya, he is fearless. He is fearless. Teja, vigor. He's very vigorous. These are Bhishma, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadev, Yudhisthira Maharaj. These are kṣatriya qualities. Driti daksham. They're very expert in ruling a kingdom. Very, very expert in ruling the kingdom. In this way, the society will run very smoothly. Of course, they're all servants of the Brahminical culture, of the Brahmins. Although the Brahmins, they practice samadhamma tapasocham shantir arjavamevacha. They're very simple. They practice mind control, sense control, tapasya, austerities. They live very simply, just like Chanakya Pandit. Although he was a minister of the kingdom, he lived in a small little bhajan kutir by the river. And he never took any wealth from the king, the Maurya dynasty. So like that, Kripanidhi, he was a devotee of Vishnu, and he gave instructions how to rule a kingdom, right? Chanakya Niti, how to behave, the direction for human society. This was also given by Grandfather Bhishmadev in this canto. He's telling Arjuna, he's instructing Arjuna how to rule the kingdom. What are the social requirements of each ashram, each varna? How should they act? What is their behavior? And so on. What are their qualities to be cultivated? Even the Sudras had to practice qualities of the Sanatana Dharma. Nowadays, Prabhupada said, these are all fifth-class men. In some of these purports here, chapter 10 and other purports, Prabhupada really condemns modern human society, calls it a dungeon of demons, simply animalistic life. As Rishabhadev says, Nayam deho deha bhajam niloke kastan kaman. If people are just pursuing economic development for sense gratification, he warns his 100 sons, Rishabhadev, the incarnation of God, he says, don't work hard simply for pleasures which are available to those animals that eat stool, the pigs. Tapo divyam putraka yena shadvam. He says you should perform austerities and transcend this mind and body and understand your position in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And then he goes on to say, how do you do that? Well, Mahat Sevam Dwaram Mahuri Muktes Tamo Dwaram Yoshita Shangi Shangam. He says, you should serve the Mahatmas, devotees of the Lord. Mahatmanas tumam parta daivim prakriti mashritaha. Those who take shelter of the Supreme Lord and follow his instructions. Those are the real Mahatmas, as Prabhupada said, not the show bottle Mahatmas who lead in politics and who use politics for their own, use the Bhagavad Gita for their own political motives. And we won't mention any names because we're here in India. These are not the real Mahatmas. Kapila Dev describes the quality of a real Mahatma or a real devotee, tapasa brahmacharyena, samena cha damena cha tyagena satya socha vam yamena niyamena va. That the real qualities of a devotee are he performs austerities, tapasya, he practices celibacy, brahmacharyena, samena cha damena cha, body control, mind control. As Arjuna even tells Krishna, how can I practice this form of yoga? So he says, Chanchalahi mana Krishna. The mind is very restless. So therefore we practice sadhana bhakti. Waking up early, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends, and we practice our sadhana. We worship the deity early in the morning, taking darshan. That is meditating as good as the yogis in the Himalayas meditating on the super soul. So here the personality of Kali, he has beaten the personification of Dharma, the bull, and he's also beating Mother Earth, Prithvi. So we know that there are 7 mothers. One of them, Denu Datri Tata Prithvi, is described by Kapila Dev that one of the mothers is Mother Earth. And here he's beating Mother Earth. She's in the form of a cow. She's a demigod. And he's beating her also. And Dharma the bull, he's being beaten by Kali Yuga. So it is our duty to be the warriors of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, in Kali Yuga, he appears, as we know, Sangopangastra Parshadam. His only weapons are his associates. And everyone in Kali Yuga, Prayana Palisa Shabda Kalir Asmin Yuge Janaha. Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagahi Upadrutaha. Everyone in Kali Yuga is suffering like anything. They're short-lived. Their brain doesn't work properly. It's full of, Prabhupada said, it's full of stool. Their intelligence is bewildered by material desires. Dayato vishayapum sam sangat sheshu prajayate sangat sanjayate kama krodha bhavati samoha samoho smriti vibramat. So when one is contemplating objects of senses, when the whole society is pursuing sense gratification, how to enjoy my senses? How? By the pursuance of economic development. So we want artha, and from artha we want calm. And this calm just simply bewilders the mind, and one's intelligence is lost. Buddhir na-asho pranashati. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down into the swirl of the modes of material nature, passion and ignorance. So when Srila Prabhupada arrived on Commonwealth Pier in Boston, 1965, he said, Krishna, why have you sent me here? These Americans are covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. Very little sattva gun. They're simply full of passion. Lobha pavrittim aramba karmana ashama subha means that in the mode of passion, people are very greedy. They're equating happiness with how much I can acquire. The ethos of modern society is acquisition and egoism, they say. This is the modern ethos. How much can I get? Then I'll be judged as a successful person. And then I'll have ego satisfaction. People will admire me in society. I'll be a big leader in society. They'll offer me obeisances wherever I go. This is demoniac mentality. Dambo darpo abhimanas cha krodha parushameva cha. Krishna delineates these qualities of the demon. So this is demoniac mentality to acquire more and more and more and more. In fact, Krishna, Narada Muni tells Yudhisthira Maharaj in the 7th canto, he says, Yavad briyeta jataram tavat svatvam hi dehinam adhikam yobi manyeta sastena dantamarati. He says one should accept only as much as one needs to maintain body and soul together. If one takes more than this, then he is a thief. Sastena means you're a thief. So if you're overwhelmed by these material desires, what happens to a thief? Sastena dandham. Dandha means a stick. You'll be punished by the laws of material nature. You'll be punished. So Krishna is warning in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the crystallization of the Vedanta, that mogasha moga karmana moga jnana vichestasaha rakshashim asurim chaiva prakriti mohinim shida. He says, I'll destroy, they will meet with defeat. Everything they will meet with defeat. Pavarga means defeat, because of their fruitive activities, their sinful activities. And we learn here that in the age of Kali, the administrators, even in India, they're allowing the slaughter of mother cow. Cow is mother. In fact, all the demigods have entered into her body, even Lakshmi Devi. Atma Mata Guru Patni Brahmani Rajapatnikam Denu Datri Tata Pritvi. Denu, mother cow. She's one of our 7 mothers. She's P2 breed protected. We see Krishna, when he comes on this planet, he comes with his cowherd boyfriends, he comes with millions of cows. His father had 999,000 cows in Vrindavan. He's the lover of the cow, lover of Brahmins, Brahminical culture. That is the foundation for for peaceful human society. Brahminical culture, cow protection. Krishi Gorakshavanijam, Vaishyakarma Swabhavajam. That those who are traders, who are in the 3rd class, their business is some trading, protection of cows, protection of animals. Even the household is described in the 7th canto, that even the snake, sarasrip means snake. How's that go? That the ass, the camel, the household animals, sarasrip, kaga, mukshikaha. Mukshikaha means even the fly. Makshi means fly. Migostrakara markaku. mriga, the deer, ustra, the camel, gostra-karamarkaku, the ass. All these creatures we see, atmavat putravat pashyam, one should see them as one's own son. What is the difference between innocent animals and one's own children? This is described in the 7th canto. Yudhisthira Maharaj is being instructed by Narada Muni. So even the fly, Prabhupada said, the Vaishnava doesn't even want to kill one ant, not even killing an ant. I remember sometimes a mosquito would light on inside Prabhupada's net, and Shruti Kirti, Prabhupada said, wait till it bites, then you can kill. And so Shruti Kirti would wait as soon as it bites like that. So Srila Prabhupada was so merciful. The devotee is full of compassion that even a dangerous snake, he says, Atmavat putravat pashyam. See it as one's own son, putra, like this. So this is the duty of the real kings, the real kṣatriyas, is to protect all living beings. They're all prajas. They're all citizens of society. And without this there's no protection in Kali Yuga, actually. There's no real performance of yagya. There's no real kṣatriyas. In fact, the leaders, they send their young men off to war, and they hide in the bunkers. They make sure they have very, 1 mile deep into the earth, they keep the bunkers. Is the war over yet? Then I'll come out. This is cowardice. Asvatam, another coward. He was running from Arjuna. And Krishna said Arjuna was going to kill him because he's such a coward that he killed the sons of Draupadi. This just snuck into the camp when they were sleeping and cut their heads off, killed them. Such a low person, such debased person. So this is going on in Kali Yuga, that the classes of people who are supposed to be protected, women, children, old people, they're slaughtered just like no one cares by so-called kings and warriors and so on. So this is going on in Kali Yuga. It is an ocean of doshas. And we have to give the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the only medicine. Inechio Shadi Maya Nashi Baro Lagi. The only mercy, the only medicine in this age of Kali is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the medicine that will cure one disease of aham mameti. I am the body, and everything I should get, more and more. Mameti, these are my people, my land, my bank balance, my assets, my equities, my investments. Idam adya maya labdam imam prapshe manoratam. By my mental concoctions, I'm going to create more wealth. Creation of wealth. This is the goal of even big writers and intellectuals. They write books like The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. He's a famous economic theorist, philosopher. And he writes that the whole purpose is to accumulate wealth more and more. Then you'll be happy. And it's stated in the 12th canto, of course, that a person will only get justice if he has money, if he has gold. But the gold is described in the 5th canto by Jada Bharat, in the Force of Material Enjoyment. He says sometimes the conditioned soul is pursuing yellow stool, calling it yellow stool. And when Raghunath Das Goswami, when he rejected, his father was very wealthy. He was collecting 800,000 gold coins every month. So they're very wealthy, like the King of Heaven, it says. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Raghunath Das escaped the ropes of his father's, control and got to Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now Raghunath Das has left this grihamedi life, just as a person passes stool in a pit. He's abandoned his materialistic life with his beautiful wife and his unlimited amounts of wealth. This is what people are after in this Kali Yuga, isn't it? Teshu asanteshu mudeshu kanditatmashu asadushu. Sangam nakurya shrocheshu yoshit krida migeshicha. That one should avoid the association of asanteshu, unsaintly people, gross materialists, because they're very fond of money and sense gratification. In the form of beautiful woman, it says in this verse, Yoshit Krida. Yoshit Krida Migeshu means a play toy in the hands of woman. And even Prabhupada says, in the third canto, Kapila Deva is describing this particular verse. Prabhupada says if a woman is very beautiful in this Kali Yuga, then she will accumulate millions and millions of dollars through the movie industry or fashion industry. So people are so mesmerized and bewildered by this Maya delusion. Of course, Prabhupada would say, he would quote Chanakya Pandit, you should not, in Kali Yuga, don't trust a politician or a woman. And then he would look at Yamuna and he'd say, Yamuna, what do you think about this? And Yamuna would say, yes, Prabhupada, whatever you say. But I say, Yamuna, you're not a woman, you're a Vaishnavi. So, when we talk about women, we're talking about materialistic women, not Vaishnavis. They're following in the footsteps of Queen Kunti and Draupadi. They are Vaishnavis. They are devotees of the Lord. And Krishna says, Striyo, that verse, Mam Parina, Striyo Vaishyas Tata Sudras, Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. That the Sudra, the Vaishya, these lower classes, women, Mamupecha Tukuntea, they have sinful tendencies, but they can attain the ultimate destination, the spiritual world. They can go to the spiritual world if they follow the scriptures, follow the directions of the acharyas, and go back home, back to Godhead. There's no discrimination. So, in this Kali Yuga, wherever there's gold, a person will get justice, it's stated. People will judge, simply come together in a relationship based on external beauty. If someone's very handsome or very beautiful or very wealthy, then he can buy anything and get whatever they want, you know. So these are the values. However, Chanakya Pandit says, Kukilanam swaro rupam. The beauty of the cuckoo is in his song. And then it says, Strinam rupam pativratam. The beauty of a woman is in her faithfulness to her husband, pativratam. Vidya rupam kurupanam. The beauty of an ugly man is in his vidya, in his knowledge. And shamarupam tapasvinam, the beauty of a tapasvi, a yogi, is in his shama, his forgiveness, his sense of forgiveness. Unlike Durvasa Muni, he wasn't very forgiving. So this is described by Chanakya Pandit. So that is real beauty, it's something internal, not external. But in Kali Yuga, everything's judged by external. Oh, you drive a Mercedes-Benz. You drive a Lamborghini. You own Tata. You have a big koti. Namaste. And someone, a poor Vaishnava, poor devotee, no time, sorry. I don't want to buy your books. I have no time. I'm very sorry. I'm busy pursuing material acquisitions and so on. So this is the situation in Kali Yuga. Kalir dosha nide rajan. It's an ocean of misery. Astireko mahad gunan. There's only one great quality. Kirtanadeva Krishna Syam Mukta Sangha Param Vijat. The only good quality is that we chant Hare Krishna for the rest of our lives under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master and follow explicitly and implicitly the instructions of the spiritual master. We do not change even one word of the spiritual master's instructions, and we'll be safe. And at the time of death, we go back to the spiritual world. Krishna promises this, right? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate ante kalevaram. Ante kala. The time of death, if you remember me, ante kale chamameva smaran mukva kalevaram, you will come to me. If you think of something else, Prabhupada said, then okay, you get the benefit of devotional service, but if you have some desires, you can take birth in the heavenly planets, as he told Jayananda Prabhu, famous devotee in San Francisco, that Prabhupada said, but I'm sure that you were thinking of Krishna at the time of death, so you went back to Krishna. Otherwise, you'll be promoted to the heavenly planets and continue from there. So there's no loss or diminution, right? Neha vikramonasosti prativada navidite. There's no loss or diminution on this path of devotional service. And a little bit of advancement saves us from the greatest fear of taking birth. Mudo jonisu jayate. Tata pralinas tamasa. If you die in a mode of ignorance, mudo jonisu jayate, you'll take birth amongst the animal species of life. That is what this Sankirtan movement is dedicated to do, to deliver people from taking birth in the animal kingdom. Krishna clearly says in the 16th chapter, Shapamiya Jashuma Asubam Asurishu Eva Yunishu. I cast the demoniac people into Asurishu Eva Yunishu, into the wombs of demoniac creatures like dogs and cats. So you may be prime minister today, you may be president today, so-called big leader, but when Lord Yamaraj comes and takes you, your next birth, you will have huge amounts, mountains of bad karma for animal slaughter and so many sinful activities. The so-called leaders, they accumulate 1/6 the karma of all their citizens, plus their own. So, Prabhupada said, they're doomed. As Krishna says, they're doomed. The soul will take birth from millions and millions of births in lower species. That is guaranteed by Srimad Bhagavatam, the words of the great sages. And Prabhupada says in the first canto here that mother cow, she's joyful by nature. And when she's protected, she's very joyful. Payashodutsvita muda means Payashodutsvitam means her milk bags become very full and fatty with milk. Because muda also means she's very joyful. Muda, she's very joyful by being protected by the legislators and leaders. But when that doesn't happen, Prabhupada says that the mother cow, she gives birth to the calf, and the calf is taken away after a few weeks for purposes which cannot be mentioned in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says that in the Purport, in a previous chapter here in the first canto. The calf is taken away from the mother cow for purposes which cannot even be mentioned in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And they take these calves and slaughter them for the flesh, for the pleasure of the tongue. That is how powerful the tongue is. So what kind of reaction will they get? For every hair on the body of a cow, they take one birth in Mahārāja, one birth in a hellish planet, and they're tormented by what is called the, what are they called? Very, very envious creatures. Yeah, anyone know? No? Yeah, they're very envious creatures and they torment. Rurus, they're called rurus. Mahārāja, rurus. They torture. So from every hair on this cow, one birth in Mahārāja. So we'll open and leave time for comments and questions by the assembled devotees. You need a microphone, probably.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for your class.
Hare Krishna.
Instructive. I have two questions. The first one is about I am really so surprised because always that I hear you class, I think how is your sadhana? How you can achieve so much intelligence? How you can take all the scriptures in this way, completely clear, but at the same time I know you are going to Sankirtan all the time. You have programs of Sankirtan. Personally, I am making Harinam Sankirtan and I am making food for life, but I don't have time so much for the scriptures. I feel like I am in my personal practices, I am this is less. I am not learning verses. I am not so intelligent. And I wanted to ask to you, in your preaching life, how is your sadhana for achieve all this knowledge, for give your life for the scriptures, for the books, for learn verses? If you can give me some advice on how I can improve this part of my spiritual life also.
Thank you. We all have guna and karma. Some people have good scriptural abilities. Doesn't matter. Prabhupada engaged everyone according to their guna and their activities. So of course, the more we please the spiritual master, the more is revealed from within the heart. There's a verse like that. One attains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva by rendering service to those who are free from all vice. Shushu Shradhanascha. Vasudeva Kata Ruchi. It's in the first canto also. Second chapter. So by serving the spiritual master, you'll get knowledge from within the heart, right? Tesham ivanukam partam ahamagyana jamtamaha. So Vigyan is more important than Gyan. Vigyan means realization that I am an eternal spirit soul servant of Lord Krishna. And I engage in occupational activities based on my guna, my qualities. Someone's a musician, someone is more he likes academic pursuits, so he's more academically inclined. Some people are very scientific minded, so they use their knowledge of science to defeat the atheistic class of man who are actually controlling the academic world today. All the intellectuals, 99% are promoting atheism. Cosmology theory, atheistic cosmology theories, atheistic, what is called abiogenesis theories, that matter gives rise to life. Not possible. They have no way of producing life. So everyone has different tendencies. Gorkashodas Babaji, as far as I know, he wasn't very intellectually inclined. He wasn't very academic, but he's the guru of the most intellectual person that we know. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, highly intellectual person, who was walking, they said he was a living encyclopedia. He was very shastric. Who did he take this initiation from? Gorkashore, that's Babaji, who was sitting in the stool pit chanting Hare Krishna. So the purpose of our lives is how to love Krishna. And we can get that by pleasing the great acharyas. Srila Prabhupada has written these books, and he says, if you want to know me, you read my books. Everything is in Srila Prabhupada's books, and we shouldn't alter them by 1 millimeter. That's for sure. And we should study his books. Prabhupada wanted us to study scriptures, and we should have enough knowledge that we can defeat the personalism or demigods, worshippers. So we should be have the tools, the ammunition to defeat the atheism that's being propagated by modern man, by big institutions, Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT. They actually, if you question the ruling paradigms, which is atheism, they will punish you. You'll be punished. You will lose your tenures, you'll lose your position. It's happened, we've seen it happen. So Prabhupada also wanted to, employ his intellectual, his scientific disciples to write books and preach against atheism. He also wanted prasadam distribution. He wanted book distribution, prasadam distribution, distribution of the holy name. When people, Prabhupada said, when people see us dressed in dhoti, kurta, chanting in the streets of the world, they're seeing the Vaikuntha patis. Just reminding them of Vaikuntha. Subconsciously, the soul is looking, where is happiness? Ananda miyobhya sat, right? So whatever your guna and karma is, you do it. Don't try to artificially sit there and, try to cram some mantras in your brain. Some of us are blessed this way. Some leaders in our society are not very shastric, but they're very advanced devotees. Ayadyad acharit visheshtas tatad evecharo janaha. Sayat pramanam kurte lokastad anavartate. We have to judge the thing by its qualities and behavior. Acharya means teaches by example. Not necessarily he's a very charismatic guy that can, manipulate material energy and get things done. That's nice, but we always have to remain Trinadapi sunichana toror ivasihishnuna amanina manadena. Prabhupada told this verse to some of his godbrothers. How did you do this miracle? Well, he took the order of his spiritual master in his heart, and in a very humble way, he endeavored to get on a cargo boat with nothing. He simply begged Srimati Murarji, please, let me go to America. He said, no, you're too old, Swami. So with great determination, humility, and tolerance, Prabhupada went, even when people were coming to see him, calling him Swamiji, he would stand in line to use the bathroom. All the young people, hippie young people, who became his disciples later, they're going to they didn't know how to serve a great Mahabhagavat, great Acharya. He had no idea. Prabhupada never say, hey, don't you know who I am? Get out of I got to use the bathroom first. You know what a guru is? No, Prabhupada was extremely humble. In fact, when he initiated the first batch, Mukunda, Janaki, Rabindra Swarup, the first batch, he said, Swamiji, what are the four principles? Prabhupada says, I'm glad you asked me. I'm happy that you asked me, So very humbly, depending on Krishna, constantly remembering Krishna, Chaitas Sarvakarmani Mayi Sanyasya Matpara, always conscious of Lord Krishna, in pure loving devotion, like the 6 Goswamis. They came to Lord Chaitanya, they had ropes around their necks, they put grass between their teeth, and they're approaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gave up all position of aristocracy and took shelter of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like that, very humble. And they were empowered by the Lord to write wonderful hundreds and thousands of verses and revealing the essence. What is the essence? What's the purpose of life? What is the essence of all the Vedas? How to love Krishna, how to love God, like Mother Yashoda. That's the goal. Not, Vedavada, I'm Chaturvedi. I know all the 4 Vedas by heart. I know people who can speak in Sanskrit. I met them in New Delhi. In their household, they speak Sanskrit to each other. They're not even devotees, they're Mayavadis. They follow Shankaracharya. So, what's the use of learning? Naham Veda Nai Tapasa Na Danina Nachejaya, Krishna tells Arjuna in the 11th chapter. You can't know me, you can't see me in this form by being big Veda, Chaturvedi, or big Tapasvi. Bhaktistu Ananyaya Shakya. My devotee has no material objectives, no material ambitions. He's free from any material desire. Why? Because love of God is so wonderful, so potent, so powerful. That is the gift of this movement. How to love Krishna. How to develop our love for God. That is the purpose. And we have 2 minutes. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Janmashtami, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Great class. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
One thing that...
I can turn this one off.
In response to his question, there is one facility that devotees have discovered where they can awaken their capacity to study Prabhupada's books and preach what they learn, and that's by taking Bhakti Shastri courses and Bhakti Vaibhava. It's actually pretty phenomenal, you know, the transformation that some devotees have gone through with that. It's time-consuming in one sense, but maybe worth it. You take a break from what you're doing and you know, study. And it can be done in segments too. You don't have to do it all in 3 months. So anyway, it's just a thought. It transformed me considerably. You know, I'm not a pundit, but you know, I learned a lot, and it helped me a lot with my devotional service. It increased my. At the time I first started studying systematically, I was a book distributor, and my results increased tremendously. I was a Sankirtan leader. My ability to inspire others increased tremendously. My taste for chanting, that was the vihāya, and it was so powerful that it inspired me to start the Mayapur Institute. And so many devotees have benefited from that. So some can just, you know, fall into it naturally, but others may need a little prompting by doing, structure, but also they're in a group, you know, so they get that kind of initiative from seeing others studying, and then the taste awakens, and then it goes, wow, this is incredible, I never knew. You know, you're also associating with senior devotees, the person Bhagavats, and so that does quite a bit. Prabhupada wanted every temple to be an educational center where devotees are trained to be Brahmins, and then they teach others. It was something that wasn't really paid too much attention to. You know, and then vihāya started, and the Mayapur Institute, and now it's pretty widespread around the movement. I heard the dinging bell.
So thank you for that. Prabhupada actually wanted us to become Bhakti Vedantas, Bhaktis, and higher, and so on. He wanted us to really know the Shastras and be able to convey it to others and convince people. Because Brahmin means the intellectual class of man, and one who knows Brahman, but one who also can defeat the plethora of mental speculators and atheistic speculators. It's, the world is overrun by these atheistic people, and we have to use Shastra to defeat them. Shastra is the weapon. Shastra, enforcement. Shastra, to enforce this weapon of knowledge. So it's a very important point that we should take these courses, Bhakti Vaibhava, at the Mayapur Institute, take some time. And of course, in a group, there's so much more support than being, you know, doing it independently. So it's very important to be equipped and armed with knowledge. It's armed. It suggests, armed means it suggests, you know, like kṣatriya, warrior. You're fighting illusion. You're fighting the illusion of the Lord's illusion, the illusion of Kali Yuga and Maya. You have to be armed with knowledge. Jnana chakshush, shastra chakshush. It's a very good point by Janmashtami Prabhu. Thank you very much. We don't want to minimize the importance of being shastrically very trained up and so on. It's very, very important. The 6 Goswamis, they were great devotees of the Lord. Jiva Goswami, he could defeat anyone. He wrote his Sandarbhas and so on. He was the greatest scholar of his time. But never forget, don't get, sometimes people who have a lot of knowledge, they get puffed up with the knowledge. I'm so knowledgeable, so don't forget that the gopis even were abandoned by Krishna when they got a little proud. So Lord Chaitanya called Vallabhacharya. He tried to jump over Sridhar Swami, give his own commentation on Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you disrespect the Swami, the husband, you're just like an unchaste woman, like a prostitute. Call him a prostitute. So we have to be very diligent to follow in the line of the acharyas and don't think we know more than the acharyas. We don't know more than Prabhupada. That would be mental speculation. Oh, Prabhupada, I think he meant that. Or Hayagriva, he took something out of Prabhupada's first Bhagavad Gita. He thought, Prabhupada said they didn't go to the moon. And Hayagriva thought, oh, that will just, people won't take us seriously because 90% of people in America believe they went to the moon, which they didn't. And so we can't change things or speculate. We follow strictly and unequivocally the given directives of the great Acharya. It's 9:05, and I think you're going to get kicked out of this assembly hall. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.